Welcome to the WJBM Outdoor Show, brought to you by Midwest Tractor Sales in Jerseyville. We're coming to you from the WJBM studios in Jerseyville, the voice of the Tri-Counties. I'm Aaron Quillen. I operate Monarch Rivers, where the mission is simple: kill big deer. Joining us today, Mr. Luke Smith, the man, the myth, the legend. Thank you, Luke, for being here.
Thanks for having me, Aaron.
Absolutely. Man, you guys have absolutely knocked him down this year.
Had good run so far.
Yeah.
Not done yet.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. So you've been hunting your place?
Only our place, yes.
Yeah. You and your sons?
2 sons, yes, and 120 acres.
Okay. Jarrett and Jacob. And how did this all start? You know, October 1 comes and
Well, it didn't start October 1,
Yeah.
as you know better than I do, or
Right.
as well as I do. We started, got our cameras all up and going and replaced in August.
Okay.
Started analyzing what we were seeing then. We moved a few cameras here and there.
Yeah.
Cell cameras dictated by where we can get reception. Some of our best areas we can't get reception, so we rely on the old-fashioned cameras and just sign.
Mm-hmm.
Can't replace sign no matter what the technology is. You know that.
Yeah.
We started formulating a little bit of a plan and when we wanted to hunt and where we wanted to hunt with what wind and this and that and implemented it and had pretty good luck so far. So
Okay. When did you first start seeing, shooter bucks out there?
Very early. Mid-August, I believe it was August 13th, I think was the date we actually started getting all of our cameras up and rolling. I'd say the next week we're already, because we checked them fairly regularly then, not so much worried about disturbing things. And at the very latest, September was really hot on seeing a lot of deer moving and starting to not being able to pattern whatsoever, but just knowing what was on the farm.
Okay. All right. And then what were some of the setups that you were kind of setting these trail cams on?
It varied. Early we were going just some food sources for early season food patterns. And for a little back history here, since my oldest boy was in 5th grade, which he's 29 now, we haven't got to hunt a lot bow hunting for various reasons, most of them being football, because that's when football started in 5th grade for him. And we did that all fall until my youngest, who's 27, graduated college, and football was done in our family as far as a participation sport. In the meantime, I'd moved a lot of my stands for gun hunting purposes because of the fact that that's what we're able to do.
Okay.
We tweaked a lot the last couple years. And as you well know, I've been helping you a couple years on your guiding services and didn't get to hunt as much as I would have liked. Well, this year, you're gracious and we agreed that I would not do that. Well, I went all in and we moved stands. We pre-cut in the spring. We pre-cut in the summer. We hung stands. We places where they used to be, mostly in the vicinity of where they used to be back 20 years ago. And it worked out really nicely. Waterways, water sources, food sources, travel corridors, trying to hit all the above.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So having been out on your farm, there's quite a bit of variety, if you will. You've got some big timber.
Mm-hmm.
You've got some transition zones. You've got some areas that are more natural, like just kind of like overgrown, not CRP, but CRP like. And you've also got some ag.
Yes. I made a decision 2 years ago to the natural grasses, and I do have some CRP that I follow the guidelines on and mow when I'm supposed to and don't mow it. But as much as I can, I've been leaving it grown up to give even more cover, more bedding, more security. And I've done that around my food plots a lot, to have a food plot in the middle and leave these transition grass areas close to it and make more narrow food plots, so to speak, instead of bigger ones.
Okay.
And I'm sold on that idea. I really think it works. I think the deer feel more secure, and I'm going to continue to do it. So.
All right. So what you're saying essentially is you're more concerned about the structure around the food plot opposed to the size of the food plot.
Correct. Yes.
All right. And then with the food plots, what are some of the things that you've planted?
Well, I've got my staple's always been a white clover with a little bit of mix of red, and I added some chicory to it, and I like that. But this year I also went, and my farmer, Terry Cordes, shout out, was gracious enough to leave me some standing corn in places, and he left me some standing beans in some of the nooks that set up well for a food plot like I'm talking, with timber on the sides of it and where I can go back with my clover from that. So I have the above mentioned clovers, the chicory, I have beans, I have corn, I have turnip, and I have rape.
Okay.
And I infused the turnip and rapes in the standing corn and the standing beans, and it did real well.
Okay. When did you plant the brassicas there?
I came in with the brassicas a few weeks before harvest. My philosophy on that was, when they harvest, then the debris from the harvest would help shade, cover everything, and then it'd have time to work with rains and different stuff. Not that we had many rains in that time, as you recall.
Right.
But it did come up well. And I think that litter of them harvesting and putting their dust and their ground up soybean material helped a lot.
Okay. Almost covered the seed up.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'll continue to do that. I think it's a good way to go about it. So.
All right. And then how did you get it broadcast out into the crop? Did you walk through the crop? Did you use I
did walk through the crop, and I also went from the edges. I did, and people have probably seen this on YouTube or DIY or whatever. I took my leaf blower, and I drilled a hole in the top, and I mounted a large size funnel on it, and I cut a slot in the funnel, and I put an old card in there, a hard credit card type thing, and used it to adjust my flow.
Oh, wow.
And I would shoot it out. Yeah.
Okay. I've not seen the card trick.
Well, it works really well.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you can adjust your flow to where you want it, and different seeds take different little gap in it, and it works real well. It worked extremely well in the beans.
Okay.
The corn, I had to get inside the rows. It would shoot far enough, but I was trying to go with rye and wheat there. A little rye too. I don't think I said that. But it just wouldn't shoot far enough, a heavier seed with my battery leaf blower.
Yeah.
And so then I got down the rows, and I'd walk through, and I'd just walk through the rows and walk 40 yards, move over 4 rows, and walk back 40 yards and move over.
Okay.
And it worked out well.
Nice.
Not as well as the beans, but it did work out well.
Okay.
So, give them what they want to cover and eat and drink, and they'll be there, right?
Right.
So,
with regard to all this preparation that went into your season, it's your farm. you've owned it for quite some time. What is there any like different dynamic where you kind of looked at your farm differently this year as you were approaching some of the preparation?
Yes and no. I mean, we feel like we've got a good handle on where the deer are and how they move, but you can always get better. And we had a few spots. One, we called it a grove. It's between two permanent stands we've had for years. And I think most of our deer are going there instead of where those two permanent stands are. And you can't even see this area from there, but it's right between them within 100 yards of both of them.
Okay.
And so we set up in there after putting in a camera in there. And yes, they were there.
Okay.
And we found a spring water source we didn't even know existed.
Okay.
Coming out of a hillside. So we just barely wallered that out. Didn't do much with it because it was pretty good until this dry season. So now we're going to get a water trough and put in there this spring to make it even better yet. But that's where my youngest son killed the first bow buck off the property, October 10th, I believe.
Okay.
And we're going to expand on that a little bit. So, I mean, you just look and even though you've been over it 1,000 times, you can see stuff that you haven't seen, you know, when you're really, really planning on trying to get some bucks.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Well, we're going to take a quick break, hear a word from the sponsors, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the WJBM Outdoor Show, brought to you by Midwest Tractor Sales in Jerseyville. We're coming to you from the WJBM studios in Jerseyville, the voice of the Tri-Counties. I'm Aaron Quillen. I operate Monarch Rivers, where the mission is simple: kill big deer. For those of you just joining us, Luke Smith from Carrollton, Illinois. He and his boys had an outstanding season. We were just talking about the preparation leading up to it with regard to stand work and food plots. And you had just mentioned your youngest shot a nice one on October 10th.
Yeah, Jarrett, he was hunting at the aforementioned, we'll call it the Grove waterhole spot that we just set up for the first time this year. And then that spot was not a spot I'd had a stand before. It's one I'd always thought I'd kind of like one somewhere in that area.
Yeah.
Little backtracking again, like I'll probably do most of this interview. Last year, we found 2 cedars that were 6-8 inches diameter that had been rubbed in there.
Okay.
And we thought, you know, we need something in this area. So that was a segue to why we put it in there also.
Okay.
He shot a nice younger 10-point. It wasn't the oldest deer in the woods, but it also had varying tine lengths that gave it a little uniqueness. I'm not a big guy on Cullen bucks or anything like that, but it might have been one that wasn't passing the best genes around.
Okay.
And it really looked good on camera and different things, and was a nice deer.
Okay.
He has only really been able to bow hunt the last couple of years with the football and all that since he's in 5th grade. And he actually went to all the practices since 3rd grade. So
okay.
He was heavily involved with that. Only his second bow kill deer.
Okay.
So we're very, very pleased with that. Happy for that one. First jerky I made this year came out of that guy's back straps.
Oh, wow.
So pretty tasty.
I bet.
Yeah. Very nice deer. And I hope every deer is a trophy, you know, so.
Yeah. And then, so let's talk about that hunt in a little bit more specific. Do you remember the wind or what specifically was going on that made you say, this is the stand?
I do remember the wind. That's in a stand that you're danged if you do, you're danged if you don't. If you think the deer are coming from the north, you can't hunt a south, right? If you think they're coming from the south, you can't hunt a north, correct?
Right.
This is both.
Okay.
It's one of those stands that where do you think they're most likely to come from?
Okay.
And he had 2 sets of does come in, and he thinks he winded them from the north. The wind was going kind of southeast. And I was hunting over from him to the northeast where my wind was going exactly where it should have been. And I saw nothing that night.
Right.
And he was there, but the wind was pretty good because it wasn't going down our main holler that we don't want the deer to wind us from. And the buck came from basically the same way the does did, but just a little further to the east. Didn't scent him, came right into where we'd cut our shooting lanes, and he got the opportunity to take him. As luck would have it, like I said, I was hunting with him probably 300 or 400 yards away, or quarter mile at most.
Yeah.
And was able to help him as well as my older son. We let him set for a little bit because we found the arrow, not a lot of blood at the shoot site. And wasn't very long after that, we noticed he clipped the heart in both lungs because we started finding a lot. And
Okay.
he was piled up about 60 yards away, but
Nice.
Nice shot, nice execution, and a good time had by all. So
Awesome. Well, at that time of year, it's so thick, everything's still on. Makes it really difficult to determine how to proceed when, your arrow comes back like, oh, what's on here?
yeah, exactly. And that went back to our spring and early summer trimming because we hadn't done any fall trimming yet. He hadn't been in the stand say, hey, I need this gone. I need this gone.
Right.
We hadn't done that. So worked out textbook, I guess, like we scripted it. So
that's perfect. Well, you did the right thing waiting. I mean, the carbon arrows and the speeds that these arrows fly at nowadays.
Yeah.
It's just so many times you don't get any feedback on the arrow.
Generally, I'm very confident when the boys shoot because they both have practiced a lot. And Jarrett, as you know from previous conversations, is an excellent firearm shooter, and he's worked very hard at being a great bow shooter now too.
Yeah.
So I was pretty confident in that, but you just never know when you don't have a lot of blood to start with. So best to wait.
Yeah. So this deer in particular do you think he was coming in on acorns? Was he coming into the spring? Was he just traveling through? What are your thoughts there?
It's a good travel quarter there. I think probably the direction of his travel was going to the spring.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
There's a lot of scrapes in that area, a lot of rubs, more rubs than scrapes right there, but there is a few scrapes. But I think the spring probably at that time.
Okay. All right. So one thing that I noticed this year was it seemed like, I mean, to overstate the obvious, an abundance of acorns. But it seemed like it was a little bit more than the average bumper acorn year. Did you see about the same thing?
I did. I mean, we just lost track of any deer on our field edge cameras and things for 10 to 12 days, nothing. It's like where'd they all go? And I said, boys, you got to hunt the timber now. We got to go to the timber. And I love timber anyway. I'd much prefer to be able to get in a hang on or a nice ladder stand in the timber than a cozy blind, even though I'm getting older and the cozy blind's not bad sometimes. But I mean, I just think that's you see so much more nature in general as well as deer,
Yeah.
But the acorns were especially on the white oaks were just rampant this year. And if a guy had pre-setups or the ability to just go set up in a saddle or something, that was what to do for at least the mid-October to almost early November.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I agree. Now, you owning this property, how long have you had the property?
Oh, we built the house in '04, late 90s. I bought it in the like 98,
Okay.
I think, 98, 99.
So, I mean, you're nearing 30 years on this farm.
And I hunted it a few years before I owned it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. Half of it anyway. The other half was an uncle, and he allowed some neighbors to hunt it. And they had good success, to my knowledge. They're all away now, except for one young man. He still hunts one side of it.
Okay. Now, having all the knowledge of, where various oaks are on the property, I'm sure you capitalized on that this year. Was there a strategy with regard to field edge oaks or lone oaks or, timber oaks, anything like that this season?
For the most part, no. We have two areas where the oaks are just plentiful.
Okay.
And one of those has always been probably our best spot we've ever on the farm.
Okay.
More deer have been killed out of what we call the horseshoe timber than anything, and it's just full of them.
Okay.
And we have, if I pull onyx up right now, probably 9 stands around this 8-acre timber.
Okay.
You know?
Right.
I mean, they're just everywhere to try to hunt whatever. I like to catch them in that time a little before that, and sometimes on our property, the property line is kind of close, so it becomes difficult. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
But as far as the strategy on the oaks, I just try to go to the timber whenever they're hitting them.
Okay.
And stay away from the field edges personally.
Okay. So let's back up to that a little bit. I think what you're saying is maybe you're hunting the patch of oaks from a transition perspective rather than
right under the oaks.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're almost treating the oaks as if it's a ag field where you expect deer to go there.
Right.
And then you're hunting the transition
instead
from
of
the bedding
edge.
to there.
Correct.
That's
Correct.
beautiful. And then you're able to better capitalize on some funnels rather than,
Right.
Are they feeding underneath my tree or,
Right. You're trying to catch them coming to them.
yes.
And like I said, some places I have my fence row, which just limits me getting closer to that spot.
Uh-huh.
But the hillsides, where they can't really cross the fence because of trees or what have you, and then you locate where they can.
Okay.
And get across. And in a nutshell, be in the timber when the oaks are dropping.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. 100%. I feel like that because of the abundance, the deer seemed more spread out this year than most. Did you experience anything like that?
Well, it seems like that all year to me, for whatever reasons. I actually was in a stand Sunday evening, and I heard what I thought was a deer at first till I turned totally around to look over on the other side of the timber to a pasture of the neighbors, and a horse was there, feeding on mast.
Okay.
And and it was comforting to just hear him chewing. He was that close. But I mean, there's still a lot of mast out there.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the bucks have done actually recently, been feeding more in the timber on things like that to get their weights back up and their proteins.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I saw a thing, listened to a thing. It was Grant Woods from Growing Deer talking about the nutrition profile for acorns is very similar to corn in terms of carbohydrate and fat, which I thought was really interesting. But yeah, the bucks that we harvested so far this year, and we'd go pop the stomach, man, just
loaded
with acorns.
Yeah, that's one thing I don't do. We try to keep the stomach popping at a minimum, but
Wait, once the guts are out of the deer, that's when you do it. You definitely don't want to do it while you're cleaning the deer.
right.
No, but I thought that to be really interesting. It wasn't until we were up in Pike County, on a much more less timber area, and that is where I started to see a little bit more corn. And it was still just loaded with acorns, and you just in that area, it makes you wonder where are they getting
all the acorns.
Yeah. We've got a couple patches of oaks, but they're not necessarily huge oaks. It's like that crepe oaks, the program oaks. Just a couple small patches, and maybe that's where we are getting them from. But I'd imagine there's another chunk of timber, and just kind of shows you how all the deer are looping. They're all participating in those food sources. Yeah.
And to your corn, like I said, my farmer graciously left me some standing corn in a few spots where we had corn, and I was like, "Yeah, you don't need to leave that much." I'm glad he did, because I still left up a little bit of cover towards my stands, but then I went in and just rode over a lot of it to get it on the ground. I think, and I see that where I left it standing, most of those ears are still full.
Yeah.
The stuff on the ground has been picked. They prefer it where it's easier food source. And they've been hitting that pretty hard. Well, they were before this snow. I haven't noticed too much since, but haven't been out too much since. So,
yeah. All right. So we were at October 10th. Jarrett shoots a nice 10.
Drills him. Yep. And
then let's continue down the timeline of season.
The timeline. Well, I'm not a rookie hunter. I think you might know that. I'm 61 years old, been hunting since I was like 11.
Yeah.
Got a few deer under my belt in that time. And I recently switched to a crossbow.
Okay.
Because I've got a condition where my shoulders are in constant pain, and I couldn't pull only a 2-year-old bow back, by the way. Is a beautiful bow. I was gifted by some generous people. But I switched to the crossbow, and I've got it sighted in with the help of my youngest, Jarrett, and thought I had everything down, right? Well, October 23rd, I'm in the stand, and this deer I've been watching since August.
Yeah.
And he's my number one deer I want to harvest, shows up. And I did everything right until I shot. And what I didn't do was, I practiced the safety aspect of loading, decocking, taking the arrow out, everything like that. I knew all about my sighting mechanism on my crossbow. What I kind of forgot about in the heat of the moment, getting a little buck fever, I guess, with a new weapon and a plan coming into fruition, was I could not reach my safety from having my hand at the trigger mechanism.
Okay.
So I couldn't find it whenever I couldn't shoot, and I had to turn and look at it, put it back on the deer. Thought I had a good shot, but I think the deer spun right at the last minute. Well, I hit him, but didn't harvest that deer. Okay. And very disappointing, obviously, for me. First time I'd done that, and I can't even remember the last one. But we tracked him. I tried everything, got the dog out there, did that. Fink's wonderful dogs, by the way. Was sad that I might have killed a deer that I'd never find, or wounded him to where he would die a painful death. Fortunately, within about a week and a half, we started getting a few more pictures of him. So we knew he was still kicking then.
Okay.
And then another week later, I started hunting him again because I was getting pictures. He was posing like it was senior picture day, my oldest boy Jacob said. And I said, no, more like Tinder where he's trying to get some ladies. But I mean, like 9 pictures in one day. I still could not get a handle on this deer. He was just staying where I couldn't hunt, or where the most picture area was just a horrible area for the winds we were having, and I was not willing to risk it. So I was hunting away from that a little bit, and he just wasn't showing up. Long story short, still hunting for that deer. I had some nice action, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw a really tall tine deer coming towards me from the neighbor's property, and he jumped a fence, and I see him from the right-hand side, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to take this deer. You know, he's 13 inches tall. I got ready. Safety gets off. You know, we're ready like we should have been the first time.
Yeah.
And he comes broadside at 22 yards, and I didn't even have to. He was walking so slow. I just took it, put it through him. He looks up at me, walks away. I'm like, did I miss that deer? No way. I'm quitting. I'm done. Takes about 5 more steps and kind of stumbles, walks 15 yards and just is done. I just blew through both of his lungs and thought I might have got the heart. There was so much blood, but I didn't. It was just a double lung. Perfect. He didn't even know what hit him. Painless, you know, in for him. And we backed the side by side up 7 yards away from him and pulled him out of the timber and took him in. But he is a nice deer, a rough scoring him. I don't really care about that, but he was, you know, close to 170.
Wow.
And beautiful deer, a little tight, but 13 and a quarter on one G2 and like 12 on another and 11 and a halves on the threes and just a beautiful deer.
What a stud.
Yeah. Beautiful deer.
Well, that's awesome. And so that deer was in the timber as well?
That deer came from a pasture, but behind me was timber, and he came from that.
Okay.
So he basically did come from either the edge of timber or out of the timber. I don't know where he came from for sure.
Okay.
But, and came right into this little food plot I was hunting.
Yeah.
Where does like to come and they like to check, and just picture perfect, just like I'd scripted it. And the wind was not ideal for him coming that way, but he missed me. So
okay.
It was kind of like he probably was down in the ditch of where the trees were, where my wind was, and it went over the top of his head, would have been my guess.
Okay.
I was mostly looking the other direction, to be honest, and just about every couple minutes look that way just for a minute and then look back the rest of the way, you know. But a really good hunt. Morning hunt where I was able to get everything done in the daylight, and boys were able to help me, and we had Jacob took off work, and Jared had somebody watch his kids for a little bit, and we got her done. So
that's awesome. What time did that deer come out?
I believe it was, I think I texted him BBD at a little before 8:30.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, it was pretty early.
Nice short hunt.
Yep. And I played it up a little bit. I don't know. You know, I mean, I think it's a good shot, and I could see him. So I knew it was a good shot. I didn't even worry about taking a loaded bow with me when I went, you know, so.
Man, that's awesome.
Hopefully, that'll continue with, I've got a new regimen. Whenever I hit my rangefinder, I hit my safety. So, they're both activated at the same time. So
that's good thinking. Okay. So then,
So everybody can learn, no matter how dang old you are, or how good you think you've done things over the years. But
yeah, sometimes you have to experience new things to learn a new lesson.
yeah, and I did.
I you know, I'm a big advocate for the crossbows. I know that there's some people that don't necessarily love them. The process of getting a doctor's note and all of these things. You know, one thing that I think is really interesting is we've had quite a few hunters that feel more comfortable with a crossbow because they say, you know, with this thing I can practice and I'm pretty well versed as to where needing to constantly practice with a compound. And, you know, they I think that I respect that. Wanting to do, you know, what's good right by the animal rather than some guy that comes in or some guy that goes out hunting that's not shooting their bow, that's not versed, that doesn't have, you know, the muscle memory built up, if you
Correct.
will.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes a crossbow gives them an opportunity to, you know, practice, but not have to be out there every day.
I agree with that. I did not want to go to a crossbow personally. I like shooting well, it's not a traditional bow. I mean, I did do that long time ago, a little bit. But I like shooting the compound. I mean, I could stand there and watch a deer, and I could one motion and I could go, and you know what I mean? And, but I kind of had to. I think a crossbow can be extremely accurate. I think it could be abused by somebody thinking, well, let's go out at 60 yards and let's go. I just don't think there's ever an ethical bow shot that far. I really don't. There's too many factors. There's movement, no matter how fast your projectile's going. There's just movement of the deer. There's just anything at that distance. And I just don't agree with it. So I told the boys, I mean, I could hit targets at 60 easily, but I said, I'm not shooting no matter what over 50. And I wouldn't, I really just don't think it's a good shot, but
yeah, well, like
personally,
like
I mean,
you said, I mean, you've got the shoulder pain and, you know, until that's healed, what are you going to do? Not hunt?
right. Exactly.
I mean,
I was ready to invest on a way to hunt
right?
because they're not cheap either, you know, but,
Yeah.
And I mean, by the time my shoulder pain is healed and hopefully it gets healed, it's going to be at least another year, maybe two. I don't know if I could go back, you know, and I'm happy with harvesting the deer this way. I don't see anything wrong with it. I really think most kids should start out with a compound though, and not just start out with a crossbow.
Okay.
Let them just a personal opinion that they could, you know, learn how to do it with a little more practice,
Yeah.
a little more work, you know. And I had a lot of that growing older, and then I still kind of messed up, as we talked about on the one where, oh, my safety's here, dang it, and I got to do that, you know. And so we can always learn, but was just not quitting. And since then, I practiced a little more with that other thing I thought was easy.
Right.
So, but I know I gelled the one I missed and the one I killed kind of in the same story, but which is October 31st, by the way. The one did I say that? The one I did shoot.
Okay. Yeah, no, but all right. So it was a Halloween buck.
A Halloween buck. It's about the fifth one I've killed on that day, by the way. So yeah, missed the one in a week, 8 days later, I got one. So, still had my big one to look forward to too.
That's right.
And that's the only deer I was hunting until gun season.
Okay. All right. And then, so we're through October, then November starts.
Mm-hmm.
if someone were to ask me what we were seeing that first week in November, I'd probably have to think about it for way too long. But you guys, so that first week in November, y'all are still consistently hunting.
Mm-hmm.
And then you guys, is it more weekends thing, weeknights? How often are you able to get out there and do it?
More weekday for me.
Okay.
My youngest Jarrett was more availability on when he could have childcare.
Yeah.
At this time, he's kind of Mr. Mom, so to speak.
Yeah.
He's got a hip issue that he's dealing with, but when his mother-in-law can watch and he can hunt, he would.
Yeah.
My oldest son, more of a weekend warrior.
Yeah.
We're not quite to him yet on his buck, but it was a day off. I'll say that.
Okay.
And the general mood was I wasn't seeing the crazy chase phase that I thought I would.
Yeah.
The year before, working for you and you would allow me to drop guys off and then go back to my place and try to get a hunt in. A lot of times I couldn't even get to the stand. I saw so many deer running around on my way there that I was stuck just standing by a tree or a barn or something, watching to hopefully be able to get out there. And it just didn't happen because there's a lot of, I didn't see that this year.
Okay.
And I don't know why. I'm thinking it was the abundance of acorn, maybe again, that a lot of deer were in the timbers again. And I was trying to hunt those same spots where I generally saw a lot of chase activity, and I just didn't see a ton of it.
Yeah, we didn't see as much of it either.
Mm-hmm.
Especially not until we started to see the most of it the second week in November, and then on into the third week, which would be leading up to the gun season.
I concur on that. I saw more. You see a doe, and then 5 minutes later, you see usually a smaller buck, and then, unfortunately, a few of the times they were ghosting me on the where I can't shoot areas,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd see a bigger buck, and then the doe would not happen to come my way, and so that I just, well, hopefully you come back. I know you're in the area, so I'd hunt there again the next set, But,
yeah.
Great hunting though, all through that phase of November. It always says you don't ever go out and see nothing if you mainly stay motionless as much as you can, and your scent's going to be what it is. You can't fool their noses. If they get you, they get you.
Mm-hmm.
But you can not let them know where you're at by not moving.
Yeah.
So, but no. Great hunting in that phase of November, and it paid off for my oldest boy in that second week in November.
Yeah. So let's talk about it.
Great hunt again. And once again, my new freedom of hunting and sort of guiding my boys and being with them and us all figuring out what we want to do. And actually I didn't know he was going to be off that day. I should have, because it was November 11th.
Uh-huh.
And he works for a bank, and Jacob called me on the 10th that evening. He said, "Hey, I'd love to hunt in the morning." He said, "I want to go here." Or what do you think? I said, "Well, either there or here."
Uh-huh.
And then Jarrett chimed in on, we do a post with all three of us on all this hunting stuff.
Yeah.
And Jarrett chimed in and he said my second choice also. And Jacob ended up going there, which is where I was going to go, not before I knew he was going to go there,
Yeah.
And so then I just, elected, I'm just going to go semi close to him. And I went to a permanent blind I have, but it is at a pinch point from a timber and a field. And it's a narrow 30-yard space. And deer use that to go from timber to timber and across that little feeding area of old corn. And so I went in that, and I had a nice buck come 20 yards from me.
Uh-huh.
And I wasn't going to shoot it just because of the previous experience of I've killed one now. I had my target buck that I put an arrow in, and we knew he was still alive, and I'm waiting on him, right? And so I texted Jacob, and luckily he's in a spot that doesn't get text very well, but he got this one. And I said, nice buck heading your direction. Because I saw it, it went this way and it wasn't heading his direction, but then about 4 or 5 minutes later, I saw it on, 200 yards away going towards him because he's following one of them girls, right?
Yeah.
Well, evidently the girl cut back up and she ended up coming out in front of me again. And he didn't like what he saw when he popped out there. And he kind of looked out in the field and he just didn't want to do it. So he doubled back and then went directly to my son. And within 10 minutes after I texted him about a nice buck coming. And he is able to get drawed back and got a nice shot on him. Another double lunger, went about 40 yards and we drove the Polaris down a trail 20 yards from him and was able to get him out of there. A beautiful older buck, I'd say a 6.5, 7.5-year-old. Wasn't the biggest rack in the world, but always thick and chocolate and perfectly formed and just massive everywhere.
Yeah.
One of them ones you say, boy, that buck just whoops some butt when he's out there in the timber.
Yeah.
Messing with other ones. But beautiful deer, and he was able to get it, and we were so pleased. And that was his actually first bow kill buck at 29 years old.
Awesome.
I mean, he's been hunting. He killed his first buck with me, I think it's either 13 or 14.
Okay.
With the gun out of a stand. But like I said, the football. I mean, just every year, football for all those years. And then love football. Obviously, we do. Mm-hmm. But we just didn't really bow hunt that much in that stretch of our lives. And, I mean, we did the sports thing, and that's the way it was. So, but no, he is so pleased. And he had worked hard. He had missed, might have, I don't know if I know Jarrett stuck and released one a couple years ago, and he really practiced hard. And Jacob did the same thing. He went out and he shot and he shot and he shot, and he says, I think I'm extremely confident 30 yards and in. Well, he got to shoot this one at 12. And he drove it home and wasn't for sure at first what happened or couldn't see it. And then all of a sudden he looked down the Rock Creek area and he says, I see him. I said, well, stay up there. And he got that text a little late and he already went down. I just wanted him to stay up in the stand so I could photo him going up to walk to his deer. You know? So Dad didn't get to do that, but oh gosh, we high-fived a lot. And then he had Jarrett beat at that point. Yeah, with buck size with the bow. So we were kind of giggling about that, and Jarrett was not so happy about that.
Brotherly love. Oh,
yeah, brotherly love. No, they're both extremely happy for each other, but still competitive.
Oh, yeah.
And kind of a quiet stretch after November 11th on actual, I mean, we saw some deer. I saw some deer, again, hunting the one. And wasn't making it happen. It was close. I mean, didn't personally see him for sure. Think I did one day. But we had some pictures and I'm like, he was over there, and we ended up finding him later though.
Okay.
You want to go there now or?
Yeah.
Okay. I always have a little background with my boys. Where you want to hunt, I always say where you want to hunt, and then they're starting to get onto my game, and then where do you want to go, Dad? And I still don't tell them, and so anyway, they hunted where we'd been seeing all of our target buck, the one I'd stuck and released in October 23rd, and they're on both kind of sides of this area, both legitimate spots for different bucks too, obviously. And at the end of the day on Friday, they'd both seen some deer. They'd both had a good hunt. And at the end of the day, Jarrett sees a nice 8-point and he's thinking about him. And then out of the corner of his eye, he sees some more movement and he sees the buck we named Tank.
Okay.
Tank Bigsby, actually. Because one of us said when we first started seeing him, boy, he's big. And I think I said he's a tank. And then we just combined the names to Tank Bigsby. A little side note, there's I think a Packers linebacker that's named Tank Bigsby. Anyway, he saw him and he waited just right and put a great double lung shot again on him. There's very little blood though with the 350 Legend. I'm not sure. I think they explode pretty good inside, but the exit wounds aren't the best. And so we waited on a neighbor's got a dog that he's casually kind of trained. And Jacob on the other side could hear him crashing in the timber. And he said it was just a crazy loud crash. So we figured he was down, but with the lack of blood out in the field, we just thought it best to have a little help. And so we waited about an hour and a half. And then once we got in the timber, it was just a pouring. We could have walked to him blindfolded, probably slipping on the rain and the blood, But he got that deer that I'd stuck earlier, and he's not quite everything we thought he was. We thought maybe his tines were a little longer, but a massive 7 1/4 inch bases on one and a little over 6 on the other, and just a beautiful big old buck, a 5.5, 6.5 year old at least. And just a monster of a deer, body wise, everything. But, we made that happen. What would that have been, the 21st Friday?
Friday the 21st. Yeah.
So from the 10th to the 21st, a month and a week, we did pretty good.
Yeah, man. $4, all three of
y'all.
And
4 nice deer.
I mean, you can't say enough about your sons. They're just great dudes.
And they come in a drop of the hat. Whenever I said I shot, Jacob's taken off. We don't even know what, I'm like, I don't know. And, they're both out there. They're both working. They're both as much as they can. And they've worked hard at trying to be better at doing this, just like I have. And great kids. And
just, I know how important hunting is to you guys. It's a generational thing. And following the loss of your dad, goat, I'm so proud of you guys. What a great season y'all have had. And
I've killed 2 bucks in a year a few times, especially when the boys were younger. Mm-hmm. And my wife, thank you, Rhonda, would generously let me go a little more than I could once I started coaching them in football and traveling with them in their college and this and that, But it's been a while. Yeah. And generally in gun season, we generally would kill a nice buck, usually one, occasionally, 2 of us would, but usually one.
Yeah.
And some of the times I'd have a pretty decent one with a bow. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was a refreshing and probably the best year ever, I'd have to say. For
That's
us.
Amazing.
And following my dad's death, it did kind of, wearing this hat, I don't know, I'm on camera. You can see this hat, and that's my dad, Goat. When I shot the deer, and a nephew of mine, a phenomenal hunter, him, Matthew Schmidt, was doing the same thing, and he killed a tater of a buck, and wearing this same replica hat of this, and his son had a good deer in shotgun season, Kane, and had a stag stocking cap on, or a hunting hat and he says, Grandpa was with me. So it still Odin to Goat.
Yes, sir. Well, we're about out of time, and we got to get you back to your wonderful better half.
And I talk too much, I apologize.
No,
but once I get going,
thank you so much, Luke.
Well, thank you for having me again. And I think it'd be interesting, Jarrett and Jacob too, just their perspective on some of this, maybe sometime in private or whatever, whatever you want to do. Matthew would be a wonderful talk. You might not ever get him to leave, though. He gets talking. He won't quit.
Right.
Thank you, Matthew. I hope you listen.
Well, thanks again, man.
Well, thank you, Aaron.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Bye.